Ladies and gentlemen, energy is not something to be found in the world around us. It is not in stimulants, in distractions, in fleeting motivation, or in the endless chase of external approval. True energy comes from within. It is cultivated, disciplined, and aligned with purpose. The Shaolin Method teaches this profound truth: energy is not consumed, it is awakened. It begins with stillness. In a restless mind, energy leaks through every thought and impulse. Calmness is not weakness, it is preparation. When the mind is quiet, energy gathers. When the body is aligned, energy flows. When the breath is steady, energy sustains itself. Strength without stillness is unstable, scattered, and short-lived. Stillness allows the body, the mind, and the spirit to coalesce into a single, coherent force. The body is the first temple. It is the ground of all energy. Without attention to posture, movement, and nourishment, energy cannot rise. A collapsed body collapses the mind. A strong, aligned body supports focus, endurance, and vitality. The Shaolin approach treats the body as sacred. Every step, every stance, every breath is a form of respect and cultivation. Energy rises when the body is trained, cared for, and understood as a living instrument of life. Breath is the bridge between intention and vitality. It is the simplest tool, yet the most powerful. Shallow or erratic breathing fuels anxiety and fatigue. Deep, controlled breathing brings calm, focus, and endurance. To control the breath is to control the mind. Through conscious breathing, emotional storms settle, clarity emerges, and energy becomes available when it is most needed. Breath is not merely air, it is life itself, flowing through every thought and movement. Discipline is the key that unlocks the door to freedom. Without discipline, energy scatters in chaos. With discipline, it is concentrated and directed. Daily practice of movement, stillness, breath, and intention creates resilience, focus, and strength that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. It transforms effort into habit, and habit into effortless mastery. Purpose gives energy direction. Energy without purpose is wasted. It disperses in distraction and doubt. When actions are aligned with meaning, effort becomes lighter, endurance increases, and clarity sharpens. Purpose channels energy into creation rather than mere motion. It converts fatigue into momentum, and struggle into growth. The mind, the body, and the spirit converge in a singular movement toward intention. The Shaolin Method is not a promise of instant results. It is a way of life, a system that cultivates energy at every level. It teaches stillness before strength, reverence for the body, mastery of breath, disciplined practice, and alignment with purpose. Those who embrace it discover that energy is not something outside to be sought. It is the natural expression of a balanced, focused, and purposeful life. Energy rises when calm meets intention. It rises when the body is strong, the breath is steady, the mind is disciplined, and the purpose is clear. It rises not because it is demanded, but because it is allowed to flow. It rises because the individual has prepared the ground, cleared the obstacles, and aligned every aspect of existence to receive it. The Shaolin Method teaches that true power is not noisy or violent. It is precise, controlled, and enduring. It does not burn itself out in frenzy. It rises quietly, steadily, and inevitably. Energy cultivated in this way is limitless. It supports clarity of thought, resilience in adversity, strength in action, and calm in chaos. It is the energy that fuels mastery, presence, and life lived fully. To embrace this method is to honor the self as a temple, to listen to the signals of the body, to train the mind through stillness and breath, to commit to disciplined practice, and to channel every movement toward purpose. When these principles are applied, energy no longer drifts away unnoticed. It rises, it gathers, it empowers, it transforms not only the individual but the world they touch. Energy is often misunderstood as something we must constantly acquire from the outside. People chase stimulants, motivation, entertainment, and validation, believing these will give them the strength to function. Yet these sources only provide temporary spikes followed by deeper exhaustion. True energy does not come from consumption, it comes from cultivation. It is built through awareness, discipline, and alignment rather than borrowed from external sources that eventually demand repayment. When energy is consumed, it creates dependency. The body and mind become accustomed to artificial stimulation, whether it is caffeine, constant entertainment, emotional drama, or external approval. Over time, the baseline level of vitality drops, requiring even more stimulation to feel normal. This cycle weakens resilience and disconnects individuals from their natural rhythm. Cultivated energy, on the other hand, strengthens the system. It raises the baseline so that calmness, clarity, and strength become natural states rather than rare achievements. Cultivation begins with understanding that energy is constantly being either preserved or leaked. Mental agitation, unnecessary worry, and unprocessed emotions are among the greatest energy drains. Each unresolved thought occupies space and consumes attention. When the mind is trained to return to the present moment, energy that was previously scattered begins to gather. This gathering is not dramatic or explosive, it is quiet, stable, and deeply nourishing. The body plays a critical role in this process. Poor posture, shallow breathing, and chronic tension restrict energy flow. When the body collapses, energy sinks. When the body aligns, energy rises. Cultivating energy means treating the body as a system that must be maintained, not exploited. Rest, movement, and intentional stillness are not indulgences but necessities. They allow the nervous system to recover and the internal resources to replenish naturally. Breath is one of the most powerful tools in energy cultivation. Unconscious breathing mirrors an unconscious life, reactive, rushed, and inefficient. Conscious breathing slows the heart rate, improves oxygen exchange, and signals safety to the nervous system. This alone can transform fatigue into alertness without adding anything external. Over time, regulated breathing trains the body to conserve energy instead of wasting it through stress responses. Another key aspect of cultivation is restraint. Energy is preserved when actions are intentional rather than impulsive. Speaking unnecessarily, reacting emotionally, or engaging in meaningless activity all consume energy without return. Restraint is not suppression, it is intelligent allocation. When energy is not wasted, it becomes available for what truly matters. This creates a sense of internal abundance rather than constant depletion. Discipline supports this process by creating consistency. Without structure, energy fluctuates wildly. With structure, the body and mind learn when to exert effort and when to recover. Regular routines stabilize hormonal cycles, improve sleep quality, and reduce decision fatigue. Over time, discipline transforms effort into habit and habit into ease. Energy cultivation then becomes automatic rather than forced. Cultivated energy also depends on emotional clarity. Carrying resentment, fear, or guilt drains vitality, even when the body appears rested. Facing emotions honestly and processing them fully frees trapped energy. This does not require indulgence in emotion, but responsibility for it. Emotional maturity allows energy to circulate instead of stagnate. Purpose further amplifies cultivated energy. When actions are aligned with meaning, effort feels lighter. The same task that feels exhausting without purpose can feel energizing when it serves a clear intention. Purpose acts as a channel, directing energy instead of dispersing it. Without purpose, even abundant energy becomes restless and draining. Silence and stillness are often overlooked but essential. Constant input prevents energy from settling. Periods of quiet allow the system to reset and integrate. In stillness, the mind reorganizes, the body relaxes, and energy accumulates naturally. This is why moments of true calm often feel more restorative than hours of sleep filled with mental noise. Ultimately, cultivated energy is sustainable because it works with natural laws rather than against them. It respects cycles, values restraint, and prioritizes awareness. Instead of seeking more, it removes what drains. Instead of forcing strength, it allows it to emerge. This approach creates a stable foundation of vitality that does not depend on circumstances, stimulation, or external validation. Stillness is often mistaken for inactivity or weakness, especially in a world that celebrates constant motion, urgency, and visible effort. Yet true strength does not begin with action, it begins with control. Stillness is the space in which control is developed. Without stillness, strength becomes reckless, unstable, and short-lived. With stillness, strength becomes precise, grounded, and sustainable. When the mind is restless, the body follows. Muscles tense unnecessarily, breath becomes shallow, and reactions replace responses. This state may appear energetic, but it is actually wasteful. Energy is scattered in multiple directions, leaving little available for meaningful action. Stillness gathers what has been dispersed. It brings the system back into coherence, allowing effort to be applied where it is needed rather than everywhere at once. Mental stillness is not the absence of thought, but the ability to choose which thoughts deserve attention. A mind that reacts to every stimulus is not powerful, it is controlled by its environment. In stillness, awareness sharpens. One begins to observe impulses without immediately obeying them. This pause creates freedom. Strength developed from this place is deliberate rather than impulsive. Physical stillness serves a similar function. Holding the body steady, aligned, and relaxed trains deep stabilizing muscles and cultivates internal balance. This is why still postures can feel more demanding than dynamic movement. The challenge is internal rather than external. The body learns efficiency, removing unnecessary tension and distributing effort evenly. From this foundation, movement becomes smoother and more powerful. Breath is the bridge between stillness and strength. When breathing is calm and controlled, the nervous system shifts out of survival mode. The body no longer wastes energy preparing for imagined threats. Instead, it conserves resources and improves coordination. Strength built on calm breathing is enduring because it does not rely on adrenaline. It can be accessed repeatedly without exhaustion. Stillness also reveals weaknesses that movement can hide. When everything stops, imbalances become obvious. The shaking leg, the wandering mind, the urge to escape discomfort all point to areas that require development. Avoiding stillness means avoiding self-knowledge. Embracing it allows correction before those weaknesses manifest as injury, burnout, or emotional instability. In training, stillness refines intention. Without intention, strength is directionless. Stillness clarifies purpose by removing noise. When the mind is quiet, actions become meaningful rather than habitual. Each movement carries awareness. This awareness multiplies effectiveness. A smaller amount of effort produces greater results because it is not diluted by distraction. Emotionally, stillness creates resilience. Strong emotions often push people into immediate action or reaction. Anger seeks expression, fear seeks escape, and desire seeks gratification. Stillness interrupts this pattern. It allows emotions to rise without being acted upon. In this space, emotions lose their power to dominate behavior. Strength becomes emotional stability rather than emotional suppression. Stillness also teaches patience, which is an overlooked form of strength. The ability to remain composed while waiting, uncertain, or uncomfortable builds inner confidence. Impatience drains energy and leads to premature action. Patience conserves energy and improves timing. Strength applied at the right moment is far more effective than strength applied immediately. In daily life, stillness creates clarity in decision-making. When constantly busy, decisions are made reactively, based on pressure rather than insight. Stillness slows perception enough to see consequences. This prevents wasted effort and unnecessary struggle. Strength then becomes strategic rather than forceful. There is also a moral dimension to stillness. A person who can remain calm in chaos becomes a stabilizing presence for others. This quiet strength influences more than loud authority ever could. It earns trust without demanding it. Such strength does not seek recognition because it is self-sufficient. Stillness is not the end goal, it is the beginning. It prepares the ground so that when strength is applied, it is clean, efficient, and aligned. Movement that emerges from stillness carries balance within it. Effort becomes intentional rather than compulsive. Power becomes controlled rather than destructive. Strength without stillness is temporary, but stillness cultivated first allows strength to grow without limit. The body is often treated as a tool to be used, pushed, and ignored until it breaks. Many people live almost entirely in their thoughts, seeing the body as something secondary or inconvenient. Yet the body is not separate from the self. It is the foundation through which all experience occurs. If the body is neglected, everything built upon it becomes unstable. Treating the body as the first temple means recognizing it as a sacred space that determines the quality of one's energy, focus, and presence. Every thought, emotion, and decision is influenced by the condition of the body. Fatigue clouds judgment, tension distorts perception, and pain narrows awareness. When the body is misaligned, the mind follows. This is why physical posture has a direct impact on mental state. A collapsed posture encourages passivity and doubt, while an upright, relaxed alignment fosters confidence and clarity. The body communicates continuously with the mind, shaping inner experience long before conscious thought intervenes. Respecting the body begins with listening. Discomfort, stiffness, and exhaustion are not inconveniences to be overridden. They are signals. Ignoring these signals teaches the nervous system that awareness is unsafe. Over time, this creates disconnection, where pain becomes chronic and energy becomes scarce. Listening restores communication. It allows small corrections before larger problems develop, preserving strength rather than forcing recovery after collapse. Movement is an essential form of respect. The body is designed to move in varied and intentional ways. Repetitive, unconscious movement or prolonged stillness both degrade its function. When movement is practiced with awareness, it lubricates joints, strengthens connective tissue, and improves circulation. More importantly, it brings attention into the body, grounding the mind in the present moment. This embodied awareness is a source of stability that thinking alone cannot provide. Breath reveals the state of the inner temple. Shallow, rushed breathing reflects a life lived in tension. Deep, controlled breathing signals safety and balance. Breath influences heart rate, digestion, and emotional regulation. When breathing is neglected, the entire system suffers. When it is cultivated, the body becomes resilient and responsive. Breath is not merely a function, it is a practice that determines how energy flows through the body. Nutrition is another expression of respect. Food is often consumed for convenience, comfort, or distraction rather than nourishment. What enters the body becomes part of it, affecting mood, clarity, and endurance. Treating the body as a temple does not require perfection or rigidity, but it does require awareness. Eating with intention strengthens the body's ability to sustain effort and recover from stress. Rest is frequently misunderstood as laziness, yet it is fundamental to preservation. Without adequate rest, the body cannot repair itself. Muscles weaken, hormones destabilize, and the immune system declines. Rest allows integration of effort. It is during rest that strength is consolidated rather than lost. Honoring rest is an acknowledgement that sustainability is more valuable than constant output. The body also stores emotional history. Stress, fear, and unresolved experiences manifest as tension patterns and postural habits. Tight shoulders, clenched jaws, and shallow breathing often reflect emotional burdens rather than physical ones. Working with the body allows these patterns to surface and release. This is why physical practices often lead to emotional clarity. The body remembers what the mind avoids. Discipline in caring for the body creates freedom. When the body is strong and balanced, attention is no longer consumed by discomfort. Energy becomes available for growth, learning, and service. Discipline does not mean punishment, it means consistency. Small daily acts of care accumulate into resilience. Over time, the body becomes an ally rather than an obstacle. Treating the body as the first temple also cultivates humility. The body has limits, cycles, and needs that cannot be negotiated away. Respecting these limits prevents arrogance and burnout. It teaches patience and adaptability. Strength built with humility lasts longer than strength built on denial. When the body is honored, presence deepens. One becomes fully available to each moment, rather than divided between discomfort and distraction. Attention settles, reactions soften, and awareness expands. The body becomes a stable base from which life can be met directly. In this way, the body is not merely a vessel, but the ground of practice, the keeper of balance, and the doorway through which clarity, energy, and strength continually arise. Breath is the most constant companion of the mind, yet it is rarely given attention. It moves automatically, adapting to every emotional shift, thought pattern, and physical state. When the mind is anxious, the breath becomes shallow and irregular. When the mind is calm, the breath slows and deepens. This relationship works in both directions. Just as the mind influences the breath can influence the mind. Learning to control the breath is learning to regain authority over one's internal state. The mind is often described as uncontrollable, filled with endless thoughts that appear without permission. In reality, much of this chaos is supported by unconscious breathing. Rapid, shallow breaths signal urgency to the nervous system, even when no real danger exists. This keeps the mind alert, reactive, and restless. By slowing the breath, the body receives a different message. The nervous system shifts from defense to balance, allowing the mind to settle naturally rather than through force. Breath creates rhythm. Without rhythm, the mind fragments. Controlled breathing introduces a steady pace that thoughts begin to follow. This does not require suppressing thoughts or fighting distraction. It simply provides a stable anchor. When attention rests on the breath, mental activity loses its urgency. Thoughts may still arise, but they no longer demand immediate action. This shift from reaction to observation is the foundation of mental clarity. Physiologically, controlled breathing improves oxygen exchange and regulates carbon dioxide levels, directly affecting brain function. A well-oxygenated brain processes information more efficiently and remains emotionally stable under pressure. This is why calm breathing can restore clarity even in stressful situations. The mind regains its ability to choose responses rather than being driven by instinctive reactions. Breath also connects the conscious and unconscious layers of the mind. Many bodily functions operate automatically, beyond direct control. Breath is unique because it belongs to both realms. It happens without effort, yet it can be guided intentionally. This makes it a powerful bridge. By working with the breath, one gains indirect influence over systems that are otherwise inaccessible, including heart rate, digestion, and emotional regulation. When breath is controlled, attention naturally becomes more refined. Instead of being pulled outward by stimuli, awareness turns inward. This inward focus reveals subtle mental patterns that usually go unnoticed. Impatience, fear, and restlessness become visible not as identities, but as temporary states. Seeing them clearly reduces their power. The mind becomes less entangled in its own content. Consistency is essential in this practice. Occasional deep breathing offers momentary relief, but regular breath control reshapes baseline mental state. Over time, the nervous system learns calm as its default. The mind becomes less prone to agitation, even outside formal practice. This stability is not rigid or dull. It is alert and responsive without being overwhelmed. Breath control also trains discipline. Remaining attentive to breathing requires presence. The mind will wander, and each return to the breath strengthens focus. This repeated act builds mental endurance. Just as muscles strengthen through resistance, attention strengthens through gentle redirection. The breath provides a neutral object that can be returned to endlessly without judgment. In moments of strong emotion, breath becomes a stabilizing force. Anger accelerates breathing, fear constricts it, and sadness weakens it. By maintaining steady breath in these moments, emotional intensity is reduced. This does not suppress emotion but prevents it from escalating uncontrollably. The mind remains clear enough to act wisely rather than impulsively. Breath also affects perception of time. Rapid breathing creates a sense of urgency, while slow breathing expands the present moment. When the breath is calm, time feels less pressured. This allows deeper engagement with tasks and interactions. The mind stops racing toward outcomes and becomes fully present in process. Ultimately, controlling the breath is not about domination but alignment. It is about bringing the body and mind into cooperation rather than conflict. When the breath is steady, the mind follows. When the mind is calm, awareness deepens. This simple yet profound practice restores self-regulation, turning attention inward and transforming restlessness into clarity, agitation into focus, and distraction into deliberate presence. Discipline is often viewed as limitation, something imposed that restricts choice and suppresses desire. Many associate it with punishment, rigidity, or loss of spontaneity. Yet this understanding reverses its true function. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the condition that makes freedom possible. Without discipline, behavior is governed by impulse, mood, and circumstance. With discipline, actions become intentional, and intention is the root of freedom. A mind without discipline reacts automatically. It follows the strongest urge of the moment, whether that urge is distraction, comfort, or avoidance. This may feel like freedom because there is no resistance, but it is actually submission. The individual is controlled by habits and external stimuli. Discipline introduces a pause between impulse and action. In that pause, choice appears. The ability to choose rather than react is the essence of freedom. Structure is a key component of discipline. Regular routines reduce chaos by removing unnecessary decisions. When basic actions are organized, mental energy is preserved for what truly matters. This is why disciplined people often appear calm and focused. They are not constantly negotiating with themselves. Their energy is directed rather than scattered, creating a sense of ease that looks like freedom from the outside. Discipline also builds trust with oneself. Each time a commitment is honored, confidence grows. The mind learns that effort leads to progress rather than frustration. This internal trust removes hesitation and self-doubt, which are significant constraints on freedom. When a person believes in their own reliability, they move through life with less resistance. In the body, discipline creates physical freedom. Regular movement, proper rest, and mindful nourishment strengthen the system. A neglected body limits possibility through pain, fatigue, and injury. A disciplined body expands possibility by offering endurance, mobility, and resilience. Physical discipline does not confine movement, it enhances it. The more stable and balanced the body becomes, the more freely it can express itself. Emotionally, discipline prevents volatility. Unregulated emotions can dominate behavior, leading to regret and conflict. Discipline does not suppress emotion but contains it. By developing the ability to remain present with discomfort, emotional reactions lose their grip. This emotional steadiness allows clearer communication and healthier relationships, which are essential forms of freedom. Discipline also clarifies values. When actions align with principles rather than convenience, life becomes coherent. This coherence reduces internal conflict. Many people feel trapped not by external conditions, but by contradictions within themselves. Discipline resolves these contradictions by consistently choosing what aligns with long-term well-being over short-term relief. Time management is another expression of discipline that directly affects freedom. Without it, time controls the individual through urgency and delay. With it, time becomes a resource. Planning and prioritization reduce stress and create space for rest, creativity, and exploration. Discipline over time allows freedom within time. Mental discipline strengthens attention. In an environment designed to fragment focus, the ability to sustain concentration is a powerful form of independence. A disciplined mind is not easily pulled away by distractions. This allows deeper learning, better problem solving, and meaningful engagement. Freedom of thought depends on the ability to direct attention intentionally. Discipline also teaches acceptance of effort. Many people resist discipline because it requires work, yet avoiding effort often creates greater suffering. Discipline replaces chaos with effort that has purpose. This purposeful effort builds momentum. Over time, what once required willpower becomes natural. The effort decreases as capability increases. Boundaries are another product of discipline. Saying no to what drains energy makes space for what nourishes it. Without boundaries, obligations and distractions accumulate, creating a sense of entrapment. Discipline empowers individuals to protect their time, energy, and focus. This protection is not selfish, it is necessary for sustainable contribution. True freedom is not the absence of constraint, but the presence of self-mastery. Discipline cultivates this mastery through repeated, intentional action. It replaces unpredictability with reliability, chaos with clarity, and reactivity with choice. In this way, discipline does not reduce freedom, it reveals it by removing the invisible chains of impulse, distraction, and inconsistency. Energy does not rise simply because the body is rested or the mind is calm. These conditions create capacity, but capacity alone does not generate direction. Without purpose, energy remains scattered, restless, or dormant. Purpose gives energy a path. When intention is clear, effort feels lighter, focus sharpens, and endurance increases. This is why people can feel energized even in difficult conditions when their actions align with something meaningful. A lack of purpose often appears as fatigue. The body may be capable, yet motivation feels absent. Tasks require excessive effort, and even rest does not restore vitality. This is not always a physical issue, but an existential one. When actions feel disconnected from meaning, the mind resists engagement. Energy leaks through hesitation, procrastination, and distraction. Purpose seals these leaks by creating internal coherence. Purpose organizes attention. When there is no clear direction, attention jumps from one stimulus to another, consuming energy without producing progress. With purpose, attention narrows naturally. Decisions become simpler because they are measured against a clear aim. This reduces internal conflict and conserves mental energy. Focus becomes effortless because it is aligned rather than forced. The nervous system responds to purpose as a signal of relevance. When an action matters, the body mobilizes resources efficiently. Heart rate, breath, and muscle tone adjust to support the task. This coordination is absent when actions feel arbitrary. In those moments, the body resists, creating a sense of heaviness. Purpose transforms effort into engagement, allowing energy to rise in response to demand. Purpose also strengthens resilience. When challenges arise, energy often drops because difficulty feels pointless. Purpose reframes difficulty as necessary rather than obstructive. This shift preserves energy during adversity. Endurance increases not because conditions are easier, but because resistance is reduced. The mind stops asking whether effort is worth it and focuses on how to continue. Clarity of purpose does not require grand ambitions. It requires honesty. Purpose can be as simple as improvement, service, or mastery. What matters is alignment. When actions contradict values, energy drains. When actions express values, energy replenishes even through effort. This is why meaningful work can feel less exhausting than idle comfort. Purpose also regulates emotional energy. Emotions gain intensity when they lack direction. Anxiety, frustration, and restlessness often arise from uncertainty about where energy should be invested. Purpose channels emotional energy into action. Fear becomes caution, anger becomes determination, and excitement becomes commitment. Emotions stop circulating internally and begin contributing externally. Over time, purpose creates momentum. Each action reinforces direction, making the next action easier. This momentum feels like increased energy, but it is actually reduced resistance. The system becomes streamlined. Wasted movements disappear. Energy rises not because more is added, but because less is lost. Purpose also stabilizes identity. Without it, identity shifts based on circumstance and opinion. This instability consumes energy through constant self-evaluation. Purpose provides a reference point that remains steady. Actions are measured against intention rather than approval. This reduces the need for external validation, which is a major source of energy drain. In physical training, purpose transforms effort. Repetition without purpose exhausts the mind. Repetition with purpose refines skill. Each movement becomes an opportunity rather than a burden. The body responds with improved coordination and strength, because the mind is fully present. Energy increases through engagement rather than force. Purpose influences recovery as well. Rest taken with purpose restores more deeply than rest taken as escape. When rest supports a meaningful direction, it feels complete. When rest avoids emptiness, it leaves dissatisfaction. Purpose gives rest a role rather than making it an end in itself. Ultimately, purpose aligns thought, emotion, and action into a single direction. This alignment removes friction. Energy that was once spent managing inner conflict becomes available for creation and growth. Purpose does not add energy from outside. It unlocks what is already present by giving it somewhere to go.